Hello, I'm William Jones, and we're here in Paterson, New Jersey as part of our Chasing the Dream, Poverty and Opportunity in America initiative. We've come here to meet the Safour family. They fled the conflict in Syria and moved to the United States just 6 months ago. That was 2 days before President Trump's travel ban went into effect. We wanted to find out what struggles they are facing as they attempt to build a new life here in America.
I'm happy to live in America.
It's been a long journey for the Safour family. Homs was once home for them. The city has been at the center of the civil war in Syria. It was once a stronghold for the opposition forces, but the Assad regime launched a military assault on the city in 2011, placing it under siege. When the city was under siege, what was it like living there? How dangerous was it for you and your family?
I
was deep asleep with my family when suddenly at 5 in the morning, shooting and shelling starts in our neighborhood. A bomb hit the side of my house and the whole apartment shook, and we were very scared. Then I immediately left the house with my wife and child. We left the house and I never returned because it was completely bombed.
The family fled to Damascus before crossing the border into Jordan. They spent 4 years in the capital Amman, where Wahid and his wife Gina would welcome their second son Nibal. But it's their eldest child Nadir who's been diagnosed with autism, who's been hit hardest by the impact of conflict. You have 2 absolutely delightful young boys, but they've experienced things in the past few years you would never want any child to experience. What impact did the war, the conflict in Syria have on them?
He was 10 months old when the war started and the shelling and the bombing began. He would feel extremely scared and he would start screaming because of the sounds. At times when I'm watching TV and the news is on, there are videos of bombings and shellings, so he remembers and starts getting scared.
Wahid mentioned to us that Nadir still wakes up screaming in the middle of the night. His medical situation meant that the family were prioritized for refugee resettlement, and in January of this year, just 2 days before the president's travel ban came into effect, the Safours landed in the United States. They were resettled in Paterson, and through New Jersey's rental assistance program, their rent is covered. But it's a small apartment in a rundown building located in what's a deprived neighborhood.
When we were finally approved, we were extremely happy that we were going to bring our children and start a new life in the United States, because it's a country of opportunities, opportunity to work, and also has a future for our children.
What do you think of this particular neighborhood? Do you feel safe here? Do you feel as if this is a place you want to stay permanently, or are you pretty set on moving out of this house as soon as possible?
There's so much noise. There are a lot of people who don't work. They sit around in the street. They create problems. There's so much loud music. It's very noisy, especially at night. We feel scared to leave home at night. So at the soonest opportunity, I'd love to be able to leave this neighborhood.
The living situation is by no means ideal, but Wahid mentioned how welcoming the community is and how grateful they are to have the opportunity to build a new life here. His neighbor Mohammed, however, who's also a Syrian refugee, is becoming increasingly frustrated. He showed us what he said were bedbug bites on his children. So you've lived here now for a year. Tell me what it's been like for you and your family.
They brought us to this neighborhood where we smell marijuana day and night. The children are seeing the drug transactions in front of their eyes. If you come to my apartment, you'll see tons of insects and cockroaches. At night, we wake up and see cockroaches crawling on us. The government has done us a great favor by taking us away from the war, and we appreciate that very much. But if the government has done this favor, why not complete it by putting us somewhere cleaner, an environment that's more fitting for our children?
The focus for both of these fathers now is to find work which will enable them to move their families out of this neighborhood. Wahid is currently enrolled in full-time English classes while volunteering as a cleaner at the nearby mosque. He's dependent on welfare, which provides $500 in food stamps and $300 in additional support every month. Almost half of that $300 goes towards their cell phone bill, internet and transportation. So that leaves just $150 for the absolute necessities, such as toiletries, laundry, and emergencies.
It's a very difficult feeling. There's some of my family's needs that I can't fulfill.
And the family's financial situation is looking increasingly perilous. 6 months after entering the country, refugees are responsible for repaying a travel loan that's provided to them by the US government for the cost of their flights. Wahid has just been informed he now owes $114 a month until he pays the full bill, which totals more than $4,000. That spare $150 every month could be almost entirely wiped out.
When you heard that, what went through your mind knowing that you were already struggling to pay the bills?
I felt slightly resentful and disappointed because the issue is difficult. I have a monthly payment, so I feel perplexed as to how to meet all my current financial obligations.
With no savings, it's a difficult financial time for the Safors. But this is a determined, resilient, and aspirational family.
I am very optimistic because the United States is a country of work and producing. When a person works here, they will improve for the better.
What hopes do you have for your children here? What would you like to see them do?
I want my children to be extremely active members of society in the future. I wish they will have a good future in the United States. And thank God, I'm quite convinced they do have a future here.